Hi, we're here today. We're going to talk all about the Soothing Childhood Abandonment Retreat and a little bit about our stories as well. So I'm Vanessa, and I work with Amanda here on the retreat. And yeah, I'm a therapist, and Amanda, you're our yoga teacher, and you
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
workshop.
So I teach the yoga. I'm also a coach. So I work with people primarily really around this issue. And I was thinking, Ness, maybe we should tell people a little bit about our personal stories and the transformations we've had due to doing this work. So what was it like for you, and why did you start going into this area specifically with your recovery, and why has it become one of your passions?
Wow, yeah. So, yeah, great question. I came from a family that would seem on the outside quite together, um, and a normal childhood. However, I was very isolated as a child, very shy, and also my mum was quite unwell, and I sort of became her carer a little bit. Obviously not really caring, but just it was all about kind of what was going on with mum when I was younger. And I went to boarding school when I was 9, and I think for me there was a, a kind of wrench in my life at that point, and I became quite self-sufficient. I became a people pleaser. I shut down my emotions, and then went on to find other ways to manage my emotions through using various kind of behaviors, drugs, alcohol, and getting into really not very good relationships with men. And yeah, I had children very young. So, it's all been quite chaotic, really. And I haven't really been able to ascertain who I am. So that's what my journey has been. And I've done this work on myself, the work that we do on the retreat. And I've engaged in inner child work. I've done a lot of work around boundaries, and learning who I am as a person. And that has helped me to be within my own power. I mean, the empowerment that I have today, I have I run my own business, which would have been completely impossible previously, because I was so much in fear about what people thought of me. And that was one of my biggest things. And, we've through the retreat, we've really kind of helped people to address similar behaviors to that. Obviously, everybody has different stories. But I want to ask you the same question. And I think after that, then we can talk a little bit about our clients. So please do stay and, listen to that as well.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Ness. And so much resonates with me. I came from a background where it did look like a shiny front door. Everything looked wonderful on the outside, but the internal experience for me growing up in a family that was I come from two generations of addiction, and the poor parenting and the emotional neglect was for me, something that I didn't recognize until I was 10 years clean, and how it exhibited in myself was my relationship with myself. I had experienced real self-loathing that hadn't changed in a 10-year period of being clean. And that was all because I'd spent the whole of my recovery focusing outwardly and being a complete chronic codependent of caring for others to avoid my internal journey. And that was working in addiction, sponsoring women, being busy. Busy was a huge part of my codependency. I didn't want to stop because I was on the run from what was in here. And so my journey has been at 10 years acknowledging, because there wasn't any physical abuse or sexual abuse, I'd minimized what had happened to me. So it was this journey that I went into at 10 years where I really started to pull away the denial of what had happened to me to find out the truth. And I was brought up with two parents that were heavy drinkers, and they did the best they could, but it was very much children should be seen and not heard. So I was left in a room to manage myself, which meant I didn't have validation, I didn't have affirmation, I didn't have mirroring, I didn't have guidance. So I was very much left with my own head with this fierce inner critic. And I remember even before I picked up drugs or alcohol as a teenage years, that voice dominated me. It told me I was unlovable, unworthy, not good enough. And actually, when I got clean, that voice got louder, when I put the substances down. And at 10 years clean, I was still dominated by that. And the beautiful thing for me today is that after doing years of work, I don't have that inner critic anymore. I can look in a mirror and say, I love myself, and I've learned how to take care of myself, like by learning and educating myself, all the stuff you spoke about, Ness, boundaries, learning to change those really unhealthy patterns in behaviors to learn to put myself first. And that's the beautiful thing that we do on the retreat. We really give people a step-by-step journey to break down these unhealthy patterns of behavior that we've existed in because of our families of origin. So it's, before we can learn new ways, we have to unlearn those old sabotaging ways. And that's been my passion in recovery, to take people on this journey. And you and I have developed this wonderful group program to